Are you ready to transform your normal e-commerce business into one that experiences exponential growth year after year using online advertising? If so, this show is for you. Me and my guests will show you how you too can grow your e-commerce business to 7 or even 8 figures so you can go on more luxurious vacations, spoil yourself and your family, say yes to more opportunities, and become financially free so you never have to worry about money again. Welcome to the e-commerce performance marketing show.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to this episode of the Ecom Performance Marketing Show. And I've got an incredible guest for you today. I've got Aaron Parkinson. Aaron's had some incredible success in e-commerce, and he's here to talk about it. And he's going to share several of his strategies, several of his tactics. This way you guys can also apply these strategies and tactics to your e-com business. So, Aaron, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on, Josh.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man. Just to kind of kick things off, why don't you tell the audience a bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I have been in the digital marketing space longer than most people. I mean, I have met a couple of people who've been in it longer than me, but I got started in the early 2000s. My kids, I have 3 kids, and I tell them I've been digital marketing longer than Google has, and they think that's funny because they don't think that that's a real thing. They don't think that exists. But I got started in the early 2000s in the affiliate marketing space. I built one of the largest affiliate marketing training platforms in the world. We had 30,000 subscribers monthly at $149 a month. And
nice.
Yeah, it was cool. And I was in my mid-20s, so I sure knew how to spend money back then. And
as every 20-year-old knows how to do.
Yeah, I wish I knew then what I know now. Isn't that what they say? And yeah, we were teaching people like how to build landing pages, how to write copy, how to do autoresponders, all those things that we all take for granted now. But back then, people were like, "What are you talking about?" And I was telling people, look, like the digital marketing space, the e-commerce world, the internet will put retail businesses out of business. And I was laughed at for almost a decade. And I think this whole COVID thing right now has expedited what was already happening. I mean, I don't know if you've been looking at the statistics, but we went from 18% of retail sales online to 30% in, a heartbeat in the last
year. It's a good time to be in e-commerce.
Yeah. And I felt, I've kind of felt a little bit guilty about it because obviously there's a lot of people that are struggling. There's a lot of people that, are suffering, and people are hitting me up going, "How you doing?" And I almost want to say, average. But the reality is that we've had record month after record month after record month. So I got started in the affiliate marketing space. I sold that off to my partner 4 years later. And then I launched a female weight loss and fitness brand called Automatic Body. I partnered up with Kim Lyons, who was the trainer from The Biggest Loser TV show. We made her the front facing spokesperson on the brand. We built a natural protein shake, energy drink, weight loss shot. We built a phone app to hold people accountable. We were a little bit before our time in that world. And this 24-week program to try and disrupt the weight loss and fitness industry where so many people were selling the 10 pounds in 10 minutes thing. And we wanted to actually help people get long-term sustainable results. So our program was 24 weeks long. Yep. And we ended up with just under 600,000 users in under 2.5 years, and sold that to the private equity group that funded it. And then I went into e-commerce, traditional e-commerce, and built a female accessory brand called Grace Cali Designs. Ran that up to about 10 million a year in sales in just under 18 months, and sold that off to my partner. And that's when I started my agency, because quite frankly, I was getting burnt out on just building my own thing 24/7, every day. I wanted some diversity. I wanted to see other people's ideas and take equity in other people's projects and do something like that. Yep. So, I partnered up with Jason Hornung. Do you know Jason Hornung?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he's in my second book coming out next week.
Awesome. So I partnered up with him about a year ago, and we amalgamated our teams together. And I've been the CEO ever since, and he's been focused on messaging and funnels, which is his happy place.
Nice.
And we tripled in size again this year. So it's been a lot of fun. So that's That's the boring stuff. I mean, the fun stuff is I live in the Cayman Islands. I live in paradise for most people. Blue waters, white sand. Got 3 beautiful kids. Yeah, I'm living the digital marketing
how
dream.
How are your kids like dealing with that? Living in the Cayman Islands. I mean, what type of, what is that like for kids? What do you think?
I think it depends on the kid. I've got 3. How many kids do you have?
1.
You have 1. Okay, so I don't know if you plan on having more or not, but 3. They're all wildly different, and one can't understand why he has to put shoes on ever. He is the traditional bohemian, and one is the gamer, and he likes cold weather, and he's miserable that we don't live in Canada and complains all the time. And my daughter absolutely adores it here. She's 16 and she loves the sun and the beach and the flowers and all that stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, they go to a wickedly expensive private school that's nicer than my university, and there's no crime here, and it literally is like a bubble. It's like living in a resort 24/7. It's crazy.
Awesome. That's awesome. Sounds like a good private place to go to in case COVID spreads.
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to decide whether to leave. We were thinking, like, what if the island runs out of food? There's no guns here. We need protection. Like, if things go sideways, and then we said, yeah, you know what? Let's just ride it out here, and we're really happy that we made that decision because, everybody's friendly, crime is low. It's a very wealthy island. Nothing's gone weird. At least we're in the sun every day and out in the pool and getting fresh air. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. I mean, you worked your butt off to get there. I mean, and also you were smart about it too. You were building businesses, selling businesses, and those are smart plays. It's definitely the right way to go in entrepreneurship to be able to really build real wealth and create a life like that in the Cayman Islands.
Absolutely. And, I'm Canadian. So the really nice benefit about having our business based here is that we get the tax benefits of living in the Cayman Islands, and there's no income tax, no property tax, no sales tax. So that, works really in your favor as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's awesome. What do you think are maybe a few kind of nuggets, like wisdom nuggets, that you can maybe tell the audience from the years of building businesses and selling businesses that they can maybe take from you and apply towards their entrepreneur careers?
Yeah, I think that the biggest one is probably patience. We are conditioned to be impatient, and my wife says my impatience is both my biggest strength and my biggest weakness. She laughs at me every time I say things are taking too long, but the reality is that we all want to get to this like finish line, not realizing that there's like 60 finish lines along that journey, right? And really the most exciting part is the beginning, at least for me, and everyone's always trying to get to the end where it's like, oh, I'm going to replace myself and cash out and do all this kind of stuff. But it's the creative chaos in the beginning that's actually the most fun. That's the, and if you can't sleep at night because you're like, oh, it's not going fast enough. Like, you almost have to take a step back and really recognize how fortunate you are to be able to live in a country that's stable, has laws, has infrastructure, has all these things, that you have the freedom to try and gamble on your own idea, and every time I look back and I exit a company, I feel like I'm going to be like, oh, that was the finish line. Like that was the most, robust part of the whole thing. And it's actually almost like mourning, because you've invested so much time into it, and it's your baby, and you grew it, and you were so involved in it for so long that when it's done, it's almost like a vacuum. And people are like, yeah, but you got paid. And it's like, yeah, okay, I got paid, but the fun part was in the creating and the chaos and that kind of stuff.
Well, I love that perspective because patience for one. Obviously you have to have patience, but it's harder for a lot of people to do. It's hard for me to do. I'm very impatient myself. I get teased by someone quite a bit about that. So I can relate to your wife teasing you about that. But I just love how you put it in perspective and being just grateful and thankful for the opportunities you have to be in the country you're in, typically, for most people, not all people, but most people. And then just to have those opportunities to build your own business, create your own income vehicle, basically, and create your own wealth as opposed to depending on other people.
Absolutely. And one of the small tidbits I took from somewhere in the last couple months was something really simple that reinforced it. It said, change. I have a whiteboard. I don't know about you, that has all the things I got to do in the day. Right.
Yep.
And, and they
I
said,
use a planner.
Okay, there you go. So it said, change your to-do list from a to-do list to a get-to-do list.
Yep.
And,
I like that.
and every time I woke up in the morning, I was like, I get to do this. Like, this is my choice, right?
Yep.
And, you know, I've worked hard jobs. I've worked some of the hardest jobs because, you know, I think as entrepreneurs, we're not very good employees. I've been fired from 10 jobs. You know, I was not good to fit into the machine. And there was a lot of days I got up in those jobs like, man, this can't be the rest of my life. And I think when we're grinding out our own entrepreneurial journey, you know, a lot of the times we're like, this isn't going fast and everything's going wrong and blah, 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 blah. Not, you know, taking stock of what we're really doing. And that's a choice. We get to do all of those things. They're not to do. You know, so
I love that.
I love
that. That's good. That's smart.
Yeah.
I think everybody watching this should do the same. Because seriously, that's such a great approach to looking at what you have to do day to day.
Absolutely. Or else it can become a grind, right? And
absolutely.
You know, you have to always remember it's your choice. You can always go back to a job. You can always shut the thing down. I've shut the thing down before. I've got up one morning and been like, I don't want to do this. I'm done. And just shut it down. And you always have that control. It doesn't own you, right? And no one's making you. Nobody has a gun to your head to go start your own business. That's your choice. You were choosing to do it. So you might as well have fun with it because it's a game, really.
Yeah. So what caused you in that one situation, that one moment you just spoke of? What caused you to say, you know what, I'm done. I'm shutting the doors. Like what caused you to get to that point? And then how did you respond? How did you react? What were the next moves you took at that point?
You know, for me, that was the weight loss company because we had actually started it off as a network marketing company because my partners were huge in the network marketing world. And so I was starting it from a retail, you know, concept, and they were starting it from a network marketing concept. And we were both very in alignment. We were trying to combine the two to be unique, almost like a beach body.
Okay.
But the distributors were all looking for the lottery ticket. They just wanted to recruit, you know, that one guy that was going to make them a millionaire. And I was wanting to sell retail to the rest of the world and couldn't really care less about those things. And over the course of a couple of years, you know, we pivoted from the network marketing world to almost like a hybrid network marketing model to a full retail model with no network marketers in it. And there was just so many pivots, and I kept cutting my own pay down and down and down and down, like trying to chase this dream. And even my wife worked for free for a year, you know, and when we moved to retail, we paid all the distributors back, all the commissions, even though we weren't paying ourselves, like just to be able to walk around with our heads held high. And, you know, at one point I just finally realized, like, I hate getting up every single day trying to make this work. And as you probably know, when you're trying to build a business, your number one resource is your energy. It's not money. It's your passion. It's your passion to test things, to be creative, to promote it, to create joint ventures, to learn and implement. It's your passion is the number one resource. And if you find yourself in a rut for weeks or months, you know, or even a year like I did, at some point you have to call the ball. And for me, what took me so long to sell it to my partners and walk away was I had so much ego wrapped up in it that, you know, if that me leaving was failure. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I played soccer for the national team when I was young. I spent 10 years trying to make it into the UFC. I've been a business guy for, you know, the second half of my life. Like, everything's about winning. Everything's about, you know, your accomplishment, you know, when you're in the business world. It's, you know, live or die. And I had a really hard time walking away and just knowing when done is done. And done was actually a year before I walked away.
Gotcha.
And,
you know, well past that, your passion had already dwindled quite a bit. You were just like, you know what, I'm done. Like, at that point, you just knew it.
Yeah, I just woke up one day and I was like, you know what? I'm done. And I was so mentally beat up by the experience that I didn't go back into the business world for 8 months. I went and I got my level 1 CrossFit certification. I partnered up. Well, technically, I guess I did go in the business world because I partnered up with my friend in his local gym and did the marketing for his CrossFit gym. And I literally taught CrossFit 3 classes a day for 6 months just to like cleanse, to like reset.
I would love that. I would love that myself.
Yeah, I mean, I did love it. It paid like shit, but you know, I needed it. I needed to work out to the point of death every day to like reset my hormones. I needed to be around positive people that didn't care about what my accomplishments were. They didn't want anything from me. It was just like really basic, hard labor that made my soul happy. And
it's funny. I liken this to Michael Jordan leaving basketball. And
I
going
just
to play
watched
baseball
that episode the
and
other
going
day.
back.
Yeah.
It sounds just like what he went through, probably.
Yeah, I was exhausted. I was mentally exhausted to the point where, you know, at one point I said to my wife, I think I might just go drive an excavator, like for the foreseeable future. And she was like, she's very supportive. So she's like, hey, if that's what you want to do. And I'm like, you know, I don't want to risk anymore. I don't want to have people rely on me for their paychecks anymore. I don't want to have to go get funding and deal with investors anymore. Like, I just want to go and put in work, put in my 8 hours, come home, leave it at the office, you know, spend time with my family. And now it's like the running joke with all my friends. Like every time I'm having a bad day, they're like, well, are you going to go drive an excavator? And I think driving excavators is cool. You know, I like big toys like that, but it's not who I am.
Yeah.
But I wanted to escape the madness that is the constant pressure of the business world for a while. And 7 months of working out and coaching people in the gym is when I finally like kind of eased my way back in and I started Grace Cali Designs. And it was sort of like, I was almost like hiding doing it from my wife, like on my computer, like, oh, I'm just going to build this Shopify store and just going to test these products and And all of a sudden, you know, we were doing $2,000 a day and then we were doing $10,000 a day. And I had the dinger on my phone, the Shopify app that tells you every time there's a sale. And my phone was going ding, ding, ding. And my wife was like, what's this stupid noise? It's like, oh, I started this thing, you know. Just this thing, you know, and
I'm sure she was happy with it after that.
Yeah, she was stoked. I actually, I started it, and I think it was 1 month later, I had a ticket to go see Tony Robbins, and that week we had taken it from $2,000 a day in sales to $20,000 a day in sales. And I wouldn't turn the ringer off because I was like the ding, that the note of the sale notification ding. I wouldn't turn it off because I was like getting endorphin releases every, you know, time it rang. And I remember being at this Tony Robbins event and it was just going nuts. It was going nuts. And people were like, dude, turn that thing off. It was like ding, 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 ding. and I remember sitting there like listening to him thinking, I'm back. Like, I'm back where I'm supposed to be, back in the environment of positive people, back in the environment of other people that want to do well, that want to support you, back in the environment of getting results. And it was like almost like the reemergence of a very long couple-year journey.
Yeah. That's great. That's awesome. So was that like your biggest e-com success to date, or was it one of the other businesses you told us about, or is it something you're doing currently? Like, you know, just, this is a kind of a standard question we ask on the show. Like, what's your biggest success to date and what happened and what went into it? This way the audience can learn from you.
Yeah. I mean, from a business perspective, I kind of gauge it on when I was happiest, and I'm happiest now, you know, running my digital marketing agency because I get new and fresh all the time, and the clients we bring on, like we don't take on anybody who's spending any less than $1,000 a day on paid advertising. So people who come to us already have proof of concept. They just need help taking it to 10 grand a day plus in ads profitably. And so I get to interact with people. I get to see their new ideas. Sometimes I'll take equity, in their companies if they need some help or whatever. And I'm so diversified because I own, 2 SaaS companies. I own the agency. I own some equity in some of those clients. It's like fun and diversified and stable. And so I think that if I had to say what's been my best success as my own business, it's been this one. Financially, I would say our affiliate marketing training platform and now we're probably equal, but every single business that I've had has done multiple 7 figures or more per year.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
I think by anybody's measurement, they were all successes. They were just different levels of successes.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Based off of your experience building all these companies and helping, agency clients as well, what do you feel like are some of the, strategies or tips or just any, what goes into e-commerce businesses being able to scale up to 7 figures?
Yeah. I made a cheat sheet for your show. And if you're cool, I'm going to share it with everybody. So I'm just going to share my screen. You let me know when you can see your own face.
This is going above and beyond, Aaron.
So there's a lot of SOPs that we have. Can you see this okay, or do you want me to expand it?
If you could zoom in just a little bit, that'd be good.
How's that?
That's good. That's perfect.
So, there's a lot of great courses out there. I've sold a lot of courses, back in the day, but I think that people overcomplicate it. So my goal for you was to simplify it with the highest level things that we do. And I'm going to specifically talk about Facebook and Instagram because that's where we start everybody, because that's the cheapest to test. That's the easiest to target. That's where we get proof of concept before we scale into other channels.
Nice.
And we obviously have a lot of people who come to us. If you're in the agency world, so you understand, I get a lot of my agency isn't doing what I want them to do, or blah, 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 blah. And I'll talk about this with a lot of clients to be like, okay, here's what separates us, right? And from a pure marketing standpoint, I try to keep it super easy. So in talking about campaign structure first, when I look at campaigns for e-com stores, I'm always looking for this foundation. My media buyers, my team, know that they have to strive for 20% retargeting. They have to strive for 70% LLAs, lookalike audiences, and they have to strive for 10% interest-based audiences. And for those who don't know, I think people who watch the show know what retargeting is, but retargeting, we're sending ads to people that have already either bought our stuff or seen our stuff. And I always tell my team that's because they're closest to source. They already know who we are. They've seen us. They've shown interest in us. So that's always going to be your highest converting audience, is your retargeting audience. But sometimes when you're first getting started out, it's small. So it's difficult to get a lot of traction on it. So you have to build up to it. But when I look at campaigns and they've got, 5% going to retargeting or nothing, and I ask people, why aren't you retargeting? Traditionally the answer I get all the time is, we tried it and it didn't work. And my response to that is, you didn't try hard enough or long enough, because it always works if you do it the right way. And that's how you scale. You don't have to do retargeting to spend $500 a day, but if you want to spend $10,000 a day and maintain a return on ad spend, you have to have extremely good retargeting, or you're not going to be able to hold your KPIs. And so my team knows they have to strive for 20% retargeting, because that's closest to source, that's closest to the customer. And then 70% of our budgets go towards lookalike audiences, which in Facebook and Instagram are people that Facebook will go find for you, that have the same personality characteristics as people who've interacted with your site, like they've bought, or they visited the site, or they visited your page, or whatever. So 70% of our traffic comes from lookalike audiences. and we start furthest down in the funnel. So we'll build, lookalike audiences 1 through 10% on purchases, and that'll be one campaign. And then we'll build 1 to 10 on add to carts, and that'll be another campaign. And then we'll do 1 to 10 on page views, and that'll be another campaign. And then 1 to 10 on video views, under 50%, over 50%. We'll do 1 to 10 on page engagement. We'll just keep going in events all the way back and make that, the lion's share of our targeting, because outside of retargeting, that's the second closest to source, because that's Facebook trying to find people like, the people that you're retargeting. Yep. And then the last is interest-based. We only put about 10% of our budget into interest-based because that's the furthest from source, right? That's you guessing. And you can guess pretty well, looking at interests, but there's no way, if it's done right, it should be as successful as your LLAs or your retargeting, but it does feed back into those two categories. And that 10% interest-based stuff is where we do the majority of our testing, right? We test in there, and then we move controls into LLAs and into retargeting. So campaign structure would be, I think it's super, super basic, and you probably look at it and go, duh. But the amount of people that come to me and they say, hey, can you have a look at my account? I'm not getting results. And the first thing I do is open it up, and I see something wrong with every single one compared to this campaign structure.
Totally.
So in trying to keep it simple and things that people can implement immediately, if you're looking at a campaign on Facebook and Instagram and it doesn't pretty closely match up with this, you're doing it wrong. At least in my opinion, from my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I see that, and I just see a lot of impatience with Facebook, because I think that a lot of people approach it like a typical advertising channel where they expect the result to come like right away. And Facebook, it's a nuanced channel, so you have to approach it slightly differently in our experience, where you have to have, like, for example, a full Facebook ad funnel like you're talking about, with retargeting, with awareness, et cetera. And you got to let it have some time to work. The algorithm has to work. The pixel has to collect data. You have to warm the pixel, as I call it. And you have to be committed. You have to be committed to. You can't just approach it with, I'm going to spend $1,000 and that's it. And you really have to be committed to it as a part of your ongoing marketing to see the actual result come from it. But if you are, you could see some tremendous results from Facebook.
Yeah, that you probably run into it too. That's a challenge that we have with a lot of our clients, is they want to push their budget faster than they should.
Yeah. And,
we traditionally won't increase our budgets more than 10% a day, if we're inside of KPI, because it throws off the algorithm. And, as soon as if a client's not getting results, they don't want to spend any money. But if a client is getting results, they want to spend $100,000 a day tomorrow. And, you have to understand that there are just rules that are inside of the Facebook, Instagram ecosystem that they might not tell you what those rules are, but those rules do exist. And, I try to give people the rules as we've seen it from scaling the clients that we've scaled. And 10% increase in daily ad budget, has always served us well. And if you actually think about 10%, a day, by the end of the month, like, that compounds really quick. Yeah. There's no need to be more impatient than that. And quite frankly, from your fulfillment side of your e-commerce business, if you go any faster, you'll probably blow up your supply chain, your customer service. I've done it. I've gone from 100 a day to 2,000 a day, and it sounds cool. It's sort of cool, but it brings a lot of problems in the back end of your infrastructure that can blow up in your face, right?
Yeah, totally.
That the campaign structure for me would probably be number one. Is there anything else you want to add from your experience on that, or should we just dive into number two?
No, I think it's great. Everything we've already discussed, the points we're making, just what we're talking about is somewhat fundamental to us, but for a lot of the audience, a lot of the newer e-commerce businesses that are diving into Facebook ads for the first time, this is critical that they hear this. So I love that we're talking about this. But we can go into number two. That's totally fine.
Yeah, I do too. And so, I think my biggest challenge is I have a hard time sometimes just simplifying things and making it easy. So I like to dive into like super complex stuff. And then people who talk to me go, can you just bring it down like 5 levels? And so
it's happened all my life.
Yeah, I've been working on that, and hopefully this is a move in the right direction. But I'll share my screen with you, and we'll go into number 2. So this is number 2 that all of my team follows in our SOPs. So what we've noticed over the last 3 years is that the time that it takes for an ad to fatigue is getting shorter and shorter and shorter with everybody's time span, competition, amount of time they're spending out there. So one of the things that sets us apart is that we test faster in more volume than 99% of people out there. So we use what we call a 3x3x3 testing matrix. So every single week we test 3 new audiences, 3 new images or video, and 3 new copy hooks. And that's every 7 days. And if you combine those, that's, obviously it's 27 permutations of different ads every single week, but we only do it inside of 10% of the budget. So that's where the interest-based audiences play a big role for us, is in our testing. And, a lot of the times, even when we get a winner, we won't just overhaul the whole campaign to put the winner in. Sometimes we'll just sit on it for a little while and wait till we start to see some fatigue in the current control, and then we'll start to lace it in, because your ads are going to fatigue. And the problem with most e-commerce stores is they don't have their next winning campaign in their back pocket for when their stuff starts to fatigue. So then they have to go into the testing protocols, which, if they're slow at testing, can take 4, 6, 8, 12 weeks before they find that new winning combination, where we already know what our winning combination is long before our stuff fatigues. So, this is especially important if you have a small audience, right? Like if you've got a really niche down product, the more niched you are down, the more active you have to be, because obviously people are seeing it 8, 9, 10, 50, 100 times, and they're starting to get ad blind to it. So, for us, the 3x3 testing matrix on a weekly basis has been one of the biggest things that have moved our results forward with all of our clients over the last 1.5 years. But again, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on how you approach stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think that, what you have here is pretty awesome as it is. I mean, I know that we just look for when we see like declines in CTR, for example. Like I've got a few ads managers, on my staff, and when they see trends that are not going in the right direction, that's when they're saying, hey, we need new creative. Some of our clients are spending just as much, $1,000 per day or more, but then some of our clients are not. We have clients that are spending less than that per day, so we don't have to worry so much about ad fatigue with those clients necessarily. There's more runway for us to test the ads and use the ads. But when we have some of the higher spend clients, we definitely have to really take a look at those metrics on a more consistent basis, and then adapt accordingly based off of the trends that we're seeing in the data.
Yeah. And for the longest time, that's what we did too. Like we would watch it, but then we would sit down and go, okay, so is it the audience? Do we need new audiences? Do we need to refresh the lookalikes? Do we, is there an algorithm change? Is there, is it seasonality? Is it, and to be honest with you, one day I saw some things I didn't like on a couple accounts, and I just said, there's new rules today. And the new rule is you will do this every week.
Yeah. Be proactive.
Yeah. You will be proactive, not reactive. And I don't want to hear anything different.
Yep.
And, when you change the rules with your team, there can be a little pushback in the beginning. And I think, a few of them were like, oh man, this is a lot more work. And then within a month, they all went, we're killing it. And everybody feels good when they're killing it, right? So you want to be in that place where you're always killing it. And then they were the biggest supporters of the idea, because they like being in that positive, perpetual motion of success. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So
absolutely.
We, there's a lot of times when even our clients are like, why are you testing more stuff? And we're like, cause that's what we do. You want to spend 20 grand a day, trust us. It has to
You
happen.
got to constantly be testing. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we always have multiple tests running in every single ad account. We're doing Facebook, Google, Bing, sometimes even outside of those three, just because, we're trying to always adopt an omni-channel approach if the budget allows us to do so from the client. And we always try to create like an omni-channel strategy with Facebook, typically on the front end, because in my opinion and my team's opinion, Facebook's the best for like front end targeting.
Absolutely.
But Google, for example, is better at like ROI.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. And that's a different conversation for another day, but that's a lot of the times what the first thing we'll do is when somebody comes in and they've got a decent brand, we'll just throw retargeting up from their main site, and
easy ROAS.
And it's like the easy, they're like, oh my God, I got a 9 ROAS. And you're like, yeah, man, we're just retargeting people that are searching your site on Google every month. Like that's the low hanging fruit just to get you going. Right.
Totally. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll go into number 3, and then obviously I'll take any questions or thoughts that you have.
Sounds great, man.
3. So one of the things that we started doing last year was translating to new languages, which a lot of people, when we talk to them about it, they're like, oh man, I don't like, who's going to do that? And how complicated is that? And does their fulfillment need to be in that? And last year we had quite a few e-com clients that started to implement this into their strategy, where we would go into, Spain, for example, and we would translate all of our ads and all of our landers, funnels, whatever, into Spanish. We would go into Portugal. We do it in Portuguese. We go to Germany. We would do it in German. Is it a lot of work? Yeah, it can be. But if you want to scale to really, really high levels, it's something that's very overlooked by most e-commerce brands is they just go to those regions, and then they target English speaking people in those regions, which is a really small percentage of those regions. And there's no competition for people speaking their native tongue. Literally nobody does it, because in most of those countries, that would have to be marketers marketing local businesses in those countries, and the competition is almost nothing. Yeah. And to give you an example, we have a client that only markets in Hong Kong and China and to Chinese speaking people in America. And last month they spent $40,000 and did $900K in revenue. Right? So when you're looking at other campaigns at scale, like we're trying to do e-com at scale, when we're spending 10K a day or above, we're looking in that sort of 2.7 to 3.2 range. And when I see people talking about like, hey, I'm getting 6 ROAS on my campaign, I'm like, what are you spending, like $100 a day? Like when you start spending big money, it's hard to maintain ROAS at the largest levels. And this is one of the ways that we do that, is that we go and we translate into these other countries, and these other countries might kick us back 4, 8, 10 ROAS, because nobody's advertising to them in their native tongue. And that's been something that when we looked at it, we're like, ooh, that looks like work. And as soon as you say that looks like work, it usually means it's going to be successful.
I know, right? You got to put the work in to get the results. No, that's great. We haven't tested that, so I can't really speak to that at all. I have heard, though, that duplicating something that's working, like a funnel, ads, etc., into a different language definitely is something that's a winning strategy that could yield some phenomenal results. So seeing it from you and hearing it as well, I mean, that just validates that, which is awesome. But yeah, I think that's an incredible strategy. I know I'm going to be doing that with my book funnel, for example.
You should.
Because
Absolutely.
I know that there's like significant opportunity there to help a lot of people. And obviously I'll profit in the process, but I'm going to be helping a lot of people in the process as well.
What's the book funnel about?
So it's a Facebook advertising, trends and strategies for e-commerce 2020 edition. Jason, your partner was in it. A bunch of other awesome contributors were in it as well. And we're going to start selling it through Amazon next Tuesday on pre-order. And that's May 26th. This episode will be coming out right before that. So it'll be coming out this Friday. And then we'll have our book funnel up basically the same day, and we're going to be selling, like, I'm not going to say what the upsells and downsells are, but we've got some pretty great plans there that I think will be very complimentary and offering a ton of value for what we're charging. So I think it's going to do well. It's just a matter of putting the work in, just like what you said about, your strategies here.
Yeah. And I would highly recommend that, once you've got proof of concept and you've, worked out the optimizations and everything, definitely look at testing translations. We have another client that we just bought on 2 weeks ago, and he spent $40,000 last year and had no idea what he was doing. None at all. No tracking, no structure, no anything. And he did it only in Puerto Rico, and he did 1.5 million on a $40,000 ad spend.
Wow.
And like, I looked at it and went, what? Like, I didn't.
What was he selling?
He's an info marketer. So not an e-commerce guy, but because you're doing info marketing, it translates like the simplest funnels, book funnels, application funnels, webinar funnels. Like, if you're a smart guy that knows marketing in Mexico right now, and you're not running like an application funnel or a webinar funnel in Spanish to other Mexican people, like, I wish I was that guy, because those marketplaces they're like going back to 2010.
Wow. Cost-wise, yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. Absolutely
awesome.
Amazing.
It's awesome. It's getting me excited. It's making me want to build funnels right now and publish some ads.
Yeah, and all you got to do is go hire somebody on Fiverr or whatever and say, hey, I need this translated into Spanish. I need it translated into French. I need it into Italian.
Yep.
I need it translated into whatever,
Yep.
and just go run a test on it. And if you see that it's converting, then hire that same person to translate and do subtitles on your fulfillment, and just route them somewhere else. Because, man, if you can do 5 million in Mexico with a 20 ROAS, or do 5 million in America where it's competitive on a 3 ROAS, which one do you want?
Right. Obviously. Yeah. And then you compound them together, and then overall your ROAS is awesome.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So
cool,
that'll be something to put on your get to do board.
Well, it's already on my board.
Perfect.
So this is in my house too. So it's not even in my office. But no, this is great, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate the strategies and the preparation for this interview and you being on the show. I have a bonus round that I go into as kind of like the last part of the episode. Nice. So this is how it works. Basically, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you just have to answer each question with only one word.
Okay, I'm in.
Okay. What caused your biggest e-com success to date?
Luck.
I don't believe it, but okay. What advice do you have for other e-com business owners?
Patience.
Yeah, that's a good one. I need that. I'm taking that right now. How would you describe yourself?
Fortunate.
And what do you see in your future?
Happiness.
Nice. Awesome. So how can the audience follow you, get to know you, maybe even reach out to your agency? What's the best actions for someone to take that's watching this?
I think the two easiest ones are go to aaronparkinson.com. That's the me site, and 7 Mile Media is my agency, and I can be found in any of the usual suspect social media. So
awesome. Okay. Sounds good. Aaron, thank you so much. This was an incredible episode. Seriously, I love the stuff that you brought to the table, and just us talking back and forth about stuff that we get to talk about, we get to geek out on, and also I appreciate you just sharing your stories and also kind of grounding the audience and having gratitude and just really focusing on that, and also having patience. I think that's a huge kind of mental tip that you're giving the audience and you're giving me, just to be quite honest. So thank you so much for sharing those. Guys, go follow Aaron. Aaron's one of the smartest guys in digital marketing. He's had a lot of success, and he's a great guy. So definitely follow him. Go to aaronparkinson.com, which will be in the notes. And also check out his agency as well, 7 Mile Media. This way you can find out more about becoming a client with Aaron. Aaron, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks so much, Josh, and good luck with your book launch. I hope it's super, super successful for you.
Thank you for tuning into the e-commerce performance marketing show. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment with a timestamp of your favorite part and share it with a friend. Until our next episode, here's to you and the success of your e-commerce business.